So my next one is x cubed minus 64. I noticed that is a difference of cubes, which is going to turn out to be, if you look back at the front, which is going to be a minus b. So a should be x minus what times what times what gives you 64, which should be 4 times x squared, because that's a squared, minus plus, ab, which is going to be x times 4 plus b squared, which is going to be 16. Clean that up a little bit. I should get x squared plus 4x plus 16 times quantity of x minus 4. Again, multiplication is commutative. It doesn't matter which order you write it in. Alright, so that is my difference of cubes, which is slightly different. Maybe. Yeah, it's slightly different than a cube of a difference, which is what I was mentioning earlier in video 1. So I'm sorry, I thought I had that up there and I don't. So again, difference of cubes is going to turn out to be a minus b times the quantity of a squared plus ab plus b squared. That the difference of a cube and the cube of a difference are two different equations. So difference of cubes is actually going to have the same sign in that first set of parentheses. That first sign in the second set of parentheses is actually going to be the opposite sign. Both kinds have that plus b squared, so that's not any different. But it's just kind of paying attention to what am I actually given. It's kind of a pain in the butt. So I've got next 8 cubed plus 27, so I'm looking to see, hey, those are both cubes, so I'm probably going to be using the sum of a cube, which I do believe I've got up top. Alright, so now I've got a minus b times quantity of a squared plus ab plus b squared. Okay, so a, which is going to be 2x minus so I've got 2x plus b, which is going to be 3, times the quantity of a squared minus ab, which is going to be 2 times x times 3, which is going to be 3, and then plus 9, because that is that sum of that cubes. Make sure my signs match. And it doesn't, because apparently sorry. I'm just realizing I'm gonna have to redo quite a few videos today, because that sum of cubes formula and that cube of a difference, I'm gonna have to recheck. Alright. And they don't. I just think that my difference of cubes and sum of cubes, what that looks like is it's actually going to have that first term matching the sign wise, and then my second set of parentheses, that my first sign is going to go ahead and be a weird one, that odd duck out. So all in all, I should get 2x plus 3 times quantity of a squared, which is 4 x squared, and then minus 6x plus 9. Like I said, I think I'm going to have to go back and reword some things because this form is a lot more helpful. Yeah, a was definitely 2x, so that should have been a 4x squared here. And it's alright. And then I see, okay, can I factor this any further? Because I see two perfect squares on my bookends, I see a minus in the middle, so I'm going to scroll back up. Like I said, we're just going to pretend, yeah, that those aren't really going to be that helpful now that I'm looking at that. So I'm just going to change this one to being plus, and that one to being a minus, and that one to being a minus, this one being a plus, because let's be honest, it's probably going to be a little bit more helpful, this particular chapter. So I'm just doing it in different colors so I remember, and that way you guys remember, hey, it's gonna be nicer this chapter. So, I swear there are two different formulas and now I can't even find them. And, yeah, sorry about that. The whole reason I came up here was seeing, okay, I've got an a squared, now I've got a b squared, I've got a minus, so now I've just got to see, hey, is there a 2ab sitting there? So I would have to have 2 times a, which is 2x, times b, which is 3. And seeing that 2 times 3 is already 6, that term is too big to be factored any further. Alright, so again, I apologize about my lovely difference of cubes, sum of cubes, all of that kind of wording. I should have just had a sum and difference of cubes and called it a day, because it's a lot more helpful, this section. So then I'm going to have x squared plus 5x minus 14. So I'm probably going to go ahead and set up 2 sets of parentheses. X times x is the only thing that gives me x squared besides x squared times 1. And then I have to multiply to 14, but add negative 14, but add to positive 5. So I should have a minus and a plus. That's the only way I can multiply to a negative. And factors of 14 are 1 and 14, 2 and 7, and yeah, I think I already found my factors to get me a positive 5. So that should be a positive 7 and a negative 2, because positive 7 minus 2 gives me that positive 5 in the middle that I need. Alright, and then on J, we got 35x squared minus x plus minus 12. I can read. Alright, so this one might be a little tricky, so it's up to you guys to try to kind of help yourself out. I personally, if I don't have an x squared just as a beginner term, I'm going to use something called the box method because I like it and I find it easier, but you guys can also use guess and check. So guess and check, you're literally going to be going, okay, I've got a factor of 35 and factors of 12. So my factors of 35 are 1 and 35. 2 doesn't go into it. 3, no, doesn't go into it. 4, no. 5 does. 7 times. 6 doesn't, and then 7 does, but it's already listed, so I'm good there. And then my factors of 12 are 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4, 4 and 3, but that's already listed. So then you just start plugging in, okay, is it 1 and 35, x and an x, and then I've got a 1 and a 12. Well, definitely not. It doesn't factor that away, even though I know I'm like, okay, well, now let's try something else. So let's try that 5x and the 7x. Alright. And then I need factors of 12, so then I do maybe a 2 and a 6 here. I see that I've got a minus sign here and here, which means that my bigger term has to be the negative 1, but we'll find out which one should be negative. in the end. So I'm going to try a plus here and a minus there, because why not? Alright, distributing this out, I see that that doesn't work. So I move on to maybe my next set of numbers. So 5 and 7 are probably more likely, to be honest, because 35 times any factor of 12 is going to be much too big. So I'm going to try 3 and 4. So multiplying this out, I see that I get 35x squared. I get a minus 20 plus 21x minus 12. Adding my like terms together should be positive 1x. In the middle. Alright, so I got everything right except for this sign, which means that I probably just need to go through and switch my signs around. So I should have a plus here and a minus there, and then I'm done. Guessing and checking is literally just playing around with numbers.